Welcome to the Food Professor Podcast, presented by Caddle. Season 6, Episode 14. I'm Michael LeBlanc.
And I'm the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois.
Our very special guest on this episode is Ransom Hawley, CEO of Caddle. Yes, that Caddle, a generous supporter of the pod, but more importantly today, a veritable font of wisdom and insights on a topic that is spoken behind boardroom doors probably every day at food brands, large and small, and restaurants. The impact of GLP-1 weight loss drugs, yes, I called them weight loss drugs, because that's what we're talking about, and how they're changing consumer lifestyles. Great research. It's second one in a go, and something you and I have been talking about for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And as you know, I write a column for the Grocery Business magazine, very well read magazine, and I was asked to write about, guess what, for January?
Yeah.
GLP-1s. And so after the holidays, I suspect that we'll see another bump.
Yep.
But the numbers are amazing. It's just incredible what's happening. And of course, when we spoke to Ransom, we made it clear that we're not really commenting on the medical health side of things.
Yes, that's right.
We're very interested in understanding how this phenomena is impacting the food industry in particular.
Have you ever been mistaken as a doctor with the Dr. Charlebois?
All the time.
Like on airplanes, do they say, does anybody know
Are you
CPR?
a real doctor? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, on Uber, it's Dr. Sylvain Charlebois.
Okay.
And so every time, so are you because I know they want to ask questions about, I got a backache. And
Yeah. I
can
sit all day driving Ubers.
I can see it coming, I got this massive headache.
Not that kind of doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
We're going to talk about a whole bunch of interesting stuff today. So we'll get to our interview with Ransom in a little bit. He's got some great data. And then we kind of weave in, there was a recent report from Circana about the U.S., because if we think the U.S. is kind of what is to come in Canada, pretty interesting numbers.
Well, I mean, when you look at the numbers in Canada, it is pretty clear. It's like it's like the U.S. 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And anyway, we'll talk about all that stuff. We're also going to talk about a little bit of AI. You were at a conference in Montreal. Campbell Soup is mixing up the soup. They're in it.
God.
Oh my goodness. We're going to do a Canada's Food Price Report teaser, which is our big episode next week. And we're also going to talk about this National Farmers Union group, who I was actually going to ask you about last episode because I saw they were meeting in Moncton. And I was like, who are these guys? I'd never heard of them, so we'll get to them.
And we need to remind our listeners that they have until December 12th to submit a claim for their Loblaw bread price fixing money. And I was hearing there are reports suggesting that bots are after that money too. So AI against AI is just incredible. And are you surprised?
Well, I'm not, because, as we talk to law enforcement as part of retail, cybercrime is a big factor for all retailers. You remember Sobeys got hit by it not too long ago and took a $22 million write-down. And
several companies have been hit by it,
many companies, both in our sector and other sectors.
But it seems to be like an organized campaign to get money.
Well, listen, organized crime is called that for a reason, right? Yeah. They're organized and they're super resourceful. And what I was saying is a lot of the loss prevention people are saying, listen, they're using these tools too now. So
I think they just made it so easy to get money, because when you go on, it doesn't take a whole. It takes 20 seconds.
Well, the objective was to make it easy for people, but
if you make it easy, then you open up the door to.
Yeah, they're pretty smart characters, though. I mean, if you and I can figure out that there's going to be AI problems, pretty sure that big companies can figure it out and kind of. But we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. If you're watching us on YouTube, I don't know if we sound different, but we're in the same room together. We're in my living room. What are you doing? What on earth are you doing here? Like, I get a call, I get a knock on the door, and
I know I was homeless. I ran out of gas on my way to London.
My goodness, London, Ontario. So you were recently, because last time I talked to you, you were at an AI conference in Montreal.
Yeah, I just left the conference today, and it was an AI conference. I was actually invited as a media person because of the podcast.
Because you are a media person.
There was no food. The food was great, but there was no conferences no talks about food at all.
It was just AI, in other words.
The room was filled with CIOs.
Okay.
Essentially. It was all IT, and of course the big theme this year is AI.
And who put the conference on? Who was it?
Infotech from London, Ontario.
And you were explaining, I once you start explaining to me who they were, it clicked for me. But they're basically an information research provider to the IT community, kind of around the world. But they're Canadian-based,
They're incredibly well organized. I must say I was impressed by the conference. The people on stage, very slick, very smooth, well prepared. Everything was well done. If you needed a room to negotiate, to meet someone, they had... The app was really well developed as well.
About how many people were at this thing?
About 1,000.
That's a big conference.
Yeah.
1,000 people, that's big.
It's big.
By Canadian standards, that's a big
And
conference.
the night before, there was a VIP dinner, which I was invited to. And that's when I realized there was just no foodie in the room. It was just a bunch of IT folks.
And an astronaut, apparently. Chris Hadfield was the keynote speaker. That fellow gets around. He also did a few others that I know. Did you see him speak?
I saw the end. I had another meeting, but I saw the end of his
I hear he gets
speech.
good reviews as a speaker.
Yeah, he was speaking yesterday. He's good. I mean, he probably says the similar things from one event to another.
Sure.
Because it's all about technology. It's all about thinking about the future. And I honestly, the people in the room are probably very well... Like
half of them want to go to space themselves, I'm sure.
I mean, the people in the room, I've had some really interesting discussions with CIOs because they look at systems.
And system thinking.
It's system thinking, and I'm a system thinker as well.
Yeah.
But their job is to basically, unpack everything and put everything back together, essentially. And that's really what they do. And And frankly, that's what we need more of. So they'll go into like a hospital and they'll say, instead of, you've been to airports where you can feel that things were added throughout the years.
Sure.
Let's add...
Bolted on.
An aisle here. Let's add another terminal there. They don't do that. They actually look at the entire thing and see whether or not they can deconstruct everything and rebuild all over again. So with AI, there's a lot of possibilities now. You can, and I'm thinking, as I was hearing all these really smart people, IT folks, I was always thinking, okay, what's in it for food? And this afternoon, I sat in to a really great talk from a guy from Infotech, a senior innovation researcher. There's always like research and innovation in their titles.
Yeah.
But this guy, and I'm sorry, I don't remember his name, but his title was, let's curb our AI enthusiasm.
Yeah.
Because he thinks, and I agree with him, he thinks that the AI bubble is fueled by the same companies. And I think there's been a lot of reports about that.
Yep.
But also he believes that AI, if we go too deep into our enthusiasm for AI, we may actually miss the boat in terms of reasoning and thinking as humans as we adopt AI.
Oh, that's interesting.
So and frankly, I do think that it is quite relevant to the food industry as well, because I see the food industry saying, okay, so what can we do? What can we do? What can we do with AI? And I mean, you go to conferences yourself, and you've always said, well, there's AI in retail, and there's always going to be something about AI at all retail shows. But in food, I think there's a lot of discussions happening right now. But I do agree that we need to perhaps like slow down a little bit and rationalize the whole deal here.
Systems thinking, basically, about systems. Yeah, I mean, when I talk to retailers about AI,
I was basically surrounded by a bunch of really, really smart people.
That's great.
Yeah.
So you came out of there knowing more than you knew when
Infotech,
you went.
And by the way, Infotech, I got to tell you, they accompany you. So when you're a guest, and I was a guest, they really take care of you. I mean, they go. So I arrived at
like a company like a Russian spy accompany you, or
no, but
what does that mean?
No. So
they bug your hotel room. Or
Monday night, I arrived exactly. I arrived at the VIP restaurant. They knew who I was. They escorted me to the room. They offered me a drink. They explained what Infotech was, because I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so I was talking to Gavin, who was the vice president of Infotech, and I met the president as well. He was there, and I'm nobody for them. Like, I'm nobody. I'm not going to be a client to them.
You're an influencer, though. You're an influencer.
But anyways, I was really impressed.
Fantastic. Well, let's get into the news. So let's see, where do we start? Let's talk about this Campbell Soup thing. So break it down for the people. So my understanding, you echo this or contradict me, or not contradict me, but correct me, is that caught on mic some Campbell Soup executives saying that this is crap food for crap people, basically.
Pretty much.
Is that how does this kind of thing?
I thought you were going to say, is that true?
I have no opinion one way,
I don't want to get sued.
I'm not a big soup guy.
Well, this tape actually came out of a lawsuit because this guy is on leave, and there is a trial in court.
And who's this guy? He's a Campbell Soup executive.
He's an executive.
Okay.
He's a current executive. Okay. Because he's on leave.
Well, as of 5 o'clock today, you might be, but
so this rant, this recorded rant in front of a lawyer, I suppose, because it was
a deposition kind of thing.
I suspect so. It was a testimonial given to someone.
Okay.
It wasn't in a public setting, but it was recorded.
Okay.
And that recording got leaked somehow to the media, and I think to ABC because they were the first one to. So it's a major network reporting on this. Yeah. And basically for an hour, he goes on and swears and mentions that he's using drugs. And then he does a deep dive into the product itself and how it's bioengineered, it's printed. He says so many really awkward things about the company and products of Campbell's that I thought this is just maddening. So he's either disgruntled towards the company and he's basically saying anything, or he may actually be experiencing some mental health issues. I mean, he didn't sound rational, and he's an executive, and I would expect something different. So I did write on X. Listen, I know a lot of executives, and frankly, it didn't sound like an executive, for one. And two, when you throw around words like printing food and bioengineering food, you got to be careful. I mean, because it means we just went through the cloning.
Sure. Clone beef.
Clone meat episode, which it became a disaster for Health Canada. Yeah. You got to be careful. And so there is no bioengineered chicken or printed chicken in products. And so I don't know. Like I don't, and of course he qualifies Campbell's Soup products as low quality. That's up to people to decide how they view the products. But there is a backdrop to all this. The Lancet last week, we talked about it. Yeah. Lancet actually released studies on ultra-processed foods. Yeah. There's this clone meat thing going on. People are looking for clean labels. I think the clean labeling era is here. It's interesting because we've been talking about clean labeling for years, but it's happening, and people want transparency. So a lot of people out there are wondering, is it true?
Well, that's what I want to get to is the backlash or what's happening in the broader community. So what you're saying is another stake, another iron in the fire in terms of people being suspicious about the foods that they eat. So what are you seeing? Are you seeing any boycott activity? You keep an eye on.
So I'm hearing. Actually, I was on the phone with someone this afternoon, and I was told that there are boycotts being called in the United States. I don't know about Canada, but
I can't imagine their grocer partners are very happy about this thing. It's like who nobody'd be happy, but
it's Thanksgiving weekend in America. People buy a lot of food. Yeah. And so if they're avoiding that category, that's going to be a problem. And
big brand.
But I think fundamentally it boils down to one thing: clarity when it comes to labeling. As soon as you have like either wackos out there saying all sorts of things or a disgruntled executive saying all sorts of things, if you don't have clarity and clean labeling and proper labeling of things, people will now assume the worst. That's exactly happening. I've always advocated in favor of mandatory labeling for generic engineering. I still stand by that. I've been saying the same thing for 20 years. And this recent episode with Campbell's demonstrate beyond reasonable doubt that it makes, without mandatory labeling, it puts the industry in a vulnerable position whenever there's something like this that happens.
Interesting. So you're advocating for allowing people, they can go in and they can decide for themselves if this is the case by reading the labels, which they cannot do in many instances today.
But this guy's saying, well, there's bioengineered chicken in my product. Really? Well, we've been labeling the otherwise, and no. I mean, so I think he took advantage of that market void, out there, that information void out there that people see every single day. So they're starting to ask questions in terms of how the food is made, what's in their food, and I'm not surprised, as they should. They and we'll continue to see that. And so for many years, we heard it. Like, consumers want transparency. They want to know what.
Well, we heard it around GMOs, for example.
Yeah, but they weren't empowered by social media as much as now.
Okay. All right. So. Speaking of which, but not connected. So don't connect these two thoughts, but it just got me thinking. I got an email from Josh Tetrick. Remember Josh from Just Eggs?
Oh, yeah. How's he doing?
From Just.
Just Eggs.
You will be receiving to your doorstep very soon his latest product. He asked me if we wanted to try his latest product, Just Meat. So he claims here, I'm just reading his email, and there's a review in Food and Wine, that they have, after years and years of development, and they just rolled in 3,000 Walmart stores, Sprouts, H-E-B, they're American companies. So I asked him, are you getting any listings in Canada? But he's got a new, they have a plant-based chicken that they say is tastier in taste tests than actual chicken.
Wow. But it's plant-based.
Plant-based. We're not talking lab-based.
Okay.
This is plant-based chicken. And he's offering to send us some so we can judge for ourselves. So
chicken farmers of Canada will argue that their chicken is plant-based too.
Yeah, but that's right. They eat plants. They eat all plants. Anyway, so he just got me thinking about that. But we'll be talking about that in the new year. Maybe we'll get
that's great.
Maybe we'll get Josh back on.
We haven't
3 years ago actually. I think we had him on. And I still enjoy their egg product.
And by the way, I mean, the avian flu is coming back, and that's one of Josh's biggest argument. I mean, because the avian flu is really, I think there are 28 farms in BC being impacted, 17 in Alberta. So numbers are going up. Unfortunately, we're losing a lot of. We've actually had to put down over 17 million birds so far this year,
and 30 ostriches.
And I'm hearing for turkey for Christmas, they're short out west. And it's harder to get to order. I've been told it's harder to order your fresh turkey right now.
I can attest to that because, of course, you know that my wife and I agree on many, many things, but not how much turkey to eat. So I look for any excuse to eat turkey. Today,
and you're going to eat turkey this weekend.
Today, Thursday. Today is Thanksgiving. When you're listening to this, it's Thanksgiving in America. Not that I celebrate that, but it's an excuse to eat turkey.
Of course.
But I had
it's a good meat. I
had a heck of a time. I looked all week trying to find. So you could find some frozen birds, but the frozen birds were all either stuffed or seasoned already, and I like to season my own product.
Right.
So I wound up getting a couple of big turkey breasts, but pre-frozen. I kind of like fresh. So I'm going to make this turkey with a mag, mayo, and Von Slick's flavored bespoke butter. Thanks to the guys. Rob sent me a sample of all his tubed butter, award-winning. I've tried some in pasta, by the way, with a shrimp pasta. Oh my God, fantastic! So. Try Von Slicks if you can find it.
Wow.
All right, enough of the shameless self-promotion or whatever it is we're doing right now. Let's get back on task.
Yeah.
National Farmers Union. So it got my attention last week. Mostly got my attention because they were meeting in Moncton, a town I'm very fond of.
Yep.
Being in LeBlanc, my dad was born just outside Moncton. But they issued some kind of proclamation or declaration today. Something about, they had two parts to it. One, though, was like they're going to lobby for a cap to profits at grocers. They say grocers are making all the money. And I don't know. I didn't read the release that they put out. I think it was Canadian Press's writing about it. And I
don't even know what a Canadian Press is reporting on this.
I have no idea.
The National Farmers Union represents...
Who are these guys? Who are these guys?
They represent, I
people?
believe, less than 1,000 members.
Okay.
And I think I'm being generous. And in Moncton, in that room, there were barely 100 people. I mean, it's just... It's a marginalized group of farmers, artisanal farmers, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't exist. I mean, they actually provide good food, and they have their own ways, their own views of farming. It's small scale farming, and I think we need small scale farmers.
Wrong with that. Sure,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm starting to realize that they're positioning themselves as the National Farmers Union, representing all voices.
Which is funny because I didn't even know. Like I read this and I'm like, I was not aware that all farmers got together like as a.
No, well in Quebec they do because of the union.
Right.
They have one voice and it's a powerful one. But not outside of Quebec. There are no unions.
I know there's dairy. There's lots of associations, canola.
First of all, if you go out west
dairy.
and you talk about unions, they're not going to join. I mean, they're not in favor of union. They don't like unions. And so when you go out, I'll be in Manitoba in January. Brandon,
nice.
Brandon, yeah.
Way to go. Way to be in January in Manitoba.
I love Manitoba, and frankly, I deal with the winter very well.
You could take in a good spiel. They got great curling. And
exactly. And so they're more free-spirited, but the National Farmers Union is a union.
Not a co-op, because I know farmers like co-ops. Union. It's a union.
Yeah, and the union, they're not very... I don't think they're very influential, but they know how to play with media. And some left-leaning media like what they're saying. And as you know, going back to the Canadian Press, they were the ones all over Reddit about the Loblaw boycott. Do you remember that? They actually made it real. They actually convinced many Canadians that the boycott was actually happening. And, of course, we know that it was just fake. It was nothing happened, really.
Yeah.
So
they're calling for a cap on grocer profits. They only named the big three Canadian,
and they're actually asking the government to guarantee revenues for farmers.
Oh, wait a minute!
Like seriously. No, so you can tell this is a really, and again, they have a right to have their own opinions, and they can get some press, but don't say that all farmers want this. They don't.
All right. Well, we'll give it no more thought or audience here, but I just want to say, who are these guys and why are they asking these ridiculous things? All right. Yeah. Just before we get to Ransom, our great interview with Ransom talking about GLP-1s, let's talk about what's coming up next week. On December 4th, I think is the release date.
December 4th, yep.
Big date. It's
always the first Thursday of the month of December.
And Canada Food Price Report 2026. Yep. Bit of a crush this year for you because I know that you guys were locked out for a month, so that's probably
third report in 3 weeks. Yeah,
you put a real crowbar into your timetable. But any sneak peeks that'll come out? Any
it's been great. We have a different approach. So it's not a food report published by 4 universities. It's a collective of universities. We have, I believe, 8 or 9 universities involved this year. So we're not positioning
all Canadian.
It's all Canadian.
Okay.
And so we have I'm lead author. We have a forecasting team. We have a production team, and we have academic advisors. So we have about 20, 25 people involved in the project.
A lot goes into this this report, right?
Yeah, and so we're, for the first year, for the first time in 16 years, we're positioning this food price report as Canada's food price report, full stop. That's it. Not published or by any universities. You basically, so we kind of, we're branding it as a standalone report, basically.
And your track record has been quite, we'll talk about this next week, but one of the things we always start with on that episode that we've done is you kind of look back and say how accurate.
Well, we can talk about that now because the year's over. So how accurate we were. So if you look at the 8 categories, we missed half of them. But I mean, it's always hard. What caught us by surprise were vegetables.
It had to be tariffs. I was going to say tariffs, no?
Well, fruits and vegetables, you know, they were in the minuses. I don't know if people know this, but I think that the pivoting for grocers avoiding America was quite successful. They've been able to actually get new vendors, and keep prices as low as possible for produce, which is a plan that we don't talk about this, but So fruits and vegetables, we were expecting hikes. They were in the negative.
Huh.
But overall, our forecast is accurate. For restaurants, it was accurate. For dairy and for bakery and...
Meats. How are you on meats?
No, meat. Actually, we were thinking that meat would push inflation higher, which it did, but we actually underestimated. Meat is up actually 7%.
Wow.
And we said 4 to 6. So we missed the mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know what you mean about more. I just went shopping for my turkey and I picked up some lemons from Argentina. I've never seen lemons from Argentina.
Yeah.
I often see them from South Africa. I try to avoid the Florida lemons. There's no flavor to them.
Yeah.
Kind of my editorial on lemons. But we'll see how these Argentinian...
But it's a record 34 pages this year. So, because I kind of, as a lead author, I kind of welcome comments from academics, and guess what happened? Oh, you
got lots of them.
You should put that. You should put that. So 34 pages. Typically, it's 20, 22 pages.
So lots to chew on.
Yeah,
so
lots to chew on. And the first day, people just focus on the executive summary and the first couple of tables, the forecast. I'm just hoping that people can actually read the whole darn thing.
Yep.
Because there's a lot.
There's a lot to it.
There's a lot of content.
I really enjoyed it. I'm reading that. Not only does it give me the headlines, as you say, but it gives me a lot of information about
so
trade.
we already have, I believe, 25 interviews booked for the 4th already. So, yeah. Busy day.
Busy day. All right, let's get to our interview with Ransom from Caddle, and then we'll be back to talk about a couple other things, including farewell to a restaurateur entrepreneur. Ransom, welcome back to the Food Professor podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, guys. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me. And it's good to be here.
Well, it's Sylvain and you and I were talking off mic. It's so great to have you back on the mic. You and I saw each other last. Where was it? In Vancouver, I think. You're like a dip. You flew in, you flew out. I barely saw you. You're like a zephyr. You're in and you're out. You drop wisdom and you go. And people are like, "Who was that guy? I want to learn more about him."
Masked man.
You know, just like parties, I say I'm here for a good time, not a long time. You know.
What do they call it? The Irish goodbye, right? You just leave without saying goodbye. I'm big on that, actually. At weddings, I never say goodbye at weddings. I hate that. I just leave.
Of course,
because it's like an hour and a half to say goodbye. Anyway. Which my Portuguese wife drives her mental, by the way. More information than all the listeners need to know. Clearly we know each other, Ransom, and let's not assume everybody listening knows you or Caddle. Give us the 411. Who are you? What do you do? And tell us a little bit about Caddle.
So I'm Ransom. I'm the founder and CEO of Caddle, which is a mobile-first data and insights platform. We reward Canadians. We're exclusively in Canada. We reward them for sharing their data and engaging with brands. That's in the form of uploading receipts, responding to surveys. We actually collect product reviews to opt-ins and things like that. So it's just a large first-party database that the clients that we work with can tap into. We primarily work in the retail and CPG, FMCG space, but we have branched out a bit into in a few other areas in the most recent years. But we've been around for about 10 years, and we've really enjoyed partnering with you guys as well.
Yeah, it's been our pleasure for sure. And today we're going to talk about, as we just introduced just before you jumped on the mic with us, the state of GLP-1. Sylvain, you and I were talking about GLP-1 drugs, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago from our context, right? The context of what's it going to do to the food industry. And Ransom's done some great survey. We've got a bit of information from the U.S. to kind of decide whether that's the future for Canada. But why don't you, if I could pass the mic over to you, because you've looked at the data and you've got some introductory questions. So here's the microphone. Here you go. I'm virtually handing you the microphone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we can talk with Ransom on a variety of different issues. I mean, we can go all day long, but I mean, I'm out there. I'm meeting different groups. I mean, every week I give a couple of talks to different folks in the country and beyond. And there is one theme that comes up a lot. It's GLP-1, GLP-1s. A lot of people are talking about it, and I know that Caddle actually has accumulated some really interesting data over the years. And I've been working with our lab has been working with Caddle for almost 6 years now. Yeah, it's been a while, and it's been great. And but you got some great data and historical data as well about GLP-1s in Canada per se. Could you tell us more about what you're seeing from your standpoint?
Yes, of course. So we leveraged our rapid response tool, which is kind of like an omnibus. It's 5 questions that are customized, and it goes national across Canada. And we leveraged that tool in December 2023, and then just this month, November. So we're able to see changes. We used the exact same methodology so we could compare the results. And we asked, within those 5 questions, we asked about, if someone in their household uses GLP-1s like Ozempic, what they use it for, if they've been using it for longer than 3 months, what they're using it for and what it's impacting, as well as, their consumption habits and how those are changing. And so, high level, which I don't think surprises any of us, is we're seeing usage increase. And we're seeing slight shifts in kind of how that's impacting consumers, but which will, of course, impact a lot of listeners today as well. But one of the big ones is that in 2023, within Canada, 10% of households were using GLP-1s. This month, when we resurveyed the population, it's 14%. So that's a 40% increase in 2 years.
Now, in December of 2023, the vast majority of people using a GLP-1 drug was to deal with type 2 diabetes, correct?
That's right, almost 60%.
But the weight loss, I guess, agenda is picking up steam compared to 2023. The portion of the portion of people actually using a GLP-1 drug to lose weight, specifically lose weight, has gone way up. Correct?
It has, yeah. So about 60% of consumers in 2023 were using the GLP-1s for type 2 diabetes. That number dropped to about 45% in 2025. And of course, the majority of that shifting over to weight loss, which grew to 34% from about 27% in 2023.
What I find interesting with the two dates, or because you accumulated data in December 2023 and now this month, there's a lot has happened since we've seen aggressive marketing campaigns. We've seen new drugs positioned basically only to lose weight. That's basically their purpose. And I'm thinking of Wegovy in particular. It seems to be incredibly popular. There's a lot of talk about that. So you're seeing traction out there. You're seeing these drugs becoming extremely popular, right?
Yes, and I'd say too, this is Canadian data. The U.S. would be a few cycles ahead of us. There is some data that we looked at out from Circana that showed about 1 in 4 households in the U.S. using GLP-1s, and that has some pretty massive downstream effects. And for us, it's almost like a crystal ball looking down south in terms of where this trend is going to go.
That's such an interesting point, and we're going to start off talking about how many people are using it, what the percentage is. Just to echo what you're saying about the U.S., the data tells us they're still growing. There's a 16% year-over-year household lift, and it gave us lots of interesting things. And as you say, it's either a crystal ball or just a clear path to the future. There's always differences between the two countries, but they got earlier on in terms of administering the drug. I remember talking about the state of North Carolina, and they had to actually start exempting it from their employee benefit because almost like 60% of their employees were using it, and it was going to bankrupt the whole program, which is, I think, why the Trump administration is really focused on lowering the cost, because it's as seen as a deliverable. What do we think about the Canadian market, Ransom, with your vast experience? Sylvain, you as well. Is this a thing that we can reliably say that we're on a path to usage not dissimilar from the U.S., so we don't have to, we don't think that there's about enough differences that this isn't pretty clear that's what's going to happen south of the border is going to happen here is as accessibility increases. And man, as soon as they get a pill form of this, that's probably going to crack it open even wider. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think about the large percentage of the population that doesn't like needles. I mean, pill form, making it more accessible. I like to say, my wife will echo this. I'm right about 50% of the time. Flip a coin, right? Maybe
that's a good percentage, actually.
Yeah, maybe even less. So you're probably better off. But I mean, I think when we do have something like what's happening in the U.S., it just gives us a little more of an indicator. And seeing such strong growth over a 2-year period. And I mean, there are some other really interesting things. There was we talked about some data and some studies which had lended to the fact that there are potentially other benefits to GLP-1s, like improving cardiovascular health and things like that. So if this is continuing to be touted as a miracle drug and there are additional incremental benefits, I think it will just continue to accelerate. But there are some still potential unknowns that we don't know yet. But I mean, it seems like it's not really slowing down.
Yeah, we should actually warn our listeners that none of us are medical doctors or professionals in the health sector, and so our focus is certainly on how this phenomena is impacting the food industry. I mean, that's really our focus here. So tell us more about what you're seeing in terms of how this phenomena is impacting the food industry. Like, what are you people telling you in terms of what they're eating, what they're no longer eating, what they're noticing as they take these drugs?
Yeah, I mean, and I will say as well, I mean, we collect this data, we make it available. I mean, any of your listeners, if they want access to this data, happy to share it. We'll make it available to anyone who wants it. And we've had, we work in, as I mentioned, retail and CPG. There are a number of our clients that are seeking out this information. It is certainly something that's on their radar. In terms of, so the question we asked is, amongst the people that are using GLP-1s, which of the following did you or your household member experience? And right at the top is weight loss and eating less, of course. And that actually increased in 2025. And weight loss shifted to number one over eating less, but it grew as a percentage over the whole pie. But down in third, fourth, fifth place are some really interesting factors that are certainly going to impact things downstream. We see going out to eat less. So within the 2025 data, 27% said they eat less amongst the households that going out to eat less. And that's amongst the people that use this. Back in 2023, it was 21%. So that's increasing. People are actually eating out less.
Yeah. Wow.
Probably other factors in there as well. I know costs have continued to increase and there's tightening of budgets as well. We see drinking less alcohol. 23% say they drink less alcohol. Purchasing fewer groceries, drinking less non-alcoholic beverages. So those are habits that are being ingrained in these households that are using these products. And they're accelerating from the 2023 data. So not only is the whole pie getting bigger with households using these products, but these items that are being impacted are also growing. So that's, I mean, quite interesting, and certainly something that listeners need to take account.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, I'm talking to a lot of people who are using these drugs, and they're noticing the same things. So what kind of conversations are you having with industry in particular when it comes to GLP-1s? Are they concerned? Are they just trying to understand what's happening? What kind of questions are you getting?
It's more so around getting good Canadian data, recent data, and having a continuous pulse on what's happening. So we have these 5 questions that we ask that are very macro. One of the questions you asked, Sylvain, is, well, what kind of categories are these impacting? And we have that high level as well. Right at the top are sweet snacks and treats such as candy, as well as bakery goods. So those make up a third or more of responses. So it's select all that apply. Then we have packaged cookies, soft drinks, juices, chocolate, alcohol, and others kind of snacking things. So, by category, these are having real implications to snacking categories. And if we look at down south, 1 in 4 households and we extrapolate that to Canada and then look at these consumer habits and this decreased consumption in these categories, it's certainly going to translate into a category impact. So in terms of what our clients are asking for, they're asking for more drilled down into, okay, if they say sweet snacks or if they say packaged cookies, let's unpack what they're potentially replacing that with, or if not replacing at all, if they're eating less, who in the household is doing this, what is their future consumption looking like? Is this going to be something that they use until they hit a certain goal weight? So they can really start to unpack about what this is going to do to their forecast moving forward.
So then you've talked about this idea of protein orphans. I mean, one of the things the data talks about in the U.S. is there's a big movement, out of, as Ransom says, some categories, but into like protein smoothies. So if you're a QSR and you focus your menu accordingly, and we've seen that from Tim Hortons and from Starbucks, there's a W there. There's a win there. What do you make of that, Sylvain? And a quick follow-up question to Ransom, if you've got any age demographics that can shed a light on that, because it's QSR is not really the purview of 55 plus. But Sylvain, first of all, what do you think of? Is this an answer, a salve to the orphanage, so to speak? Take people out of the orphanage, and there's an opportunity here. I got to think, people listening to us, the people who make food and run restaurants, they're super, super innovative. So maybe there's an upside to all this.
Yeah, no, perhaps, and I think we need to dig deeper into the protein situation. I mean, we all know what's going on at the meat counter. It's getting way more expensive, and perhaps there's an opportunity here to reposition some products. And we've seen Nestle last year launch a Ozempic friendly line of food products, and I'm not sure exactly if other companies will follow suit, but I know that Ransom, you've actually noticed that. Are you noticing other companies, other strategies out there when dealing with what's happening with GLP-1s?
I would say it is a core for a number of the clients that we're working with in consumer packaged goods. It's a core pillar in terms of trying to figure out how they navigate through this or potentially complement, like you'd mentioned. I'm sitting here eating my protein infused banana, which is an interesting.
What?
I'm kidding. But, I'm sure that'll be next, right? But that is, and it's interesting that you brought it up. Around the same time period, except in October, we ran a rapid response on protein consumption, and the numbers are just staggering. How important is protein content when choosing food or beverage products? 1 in 5 Canadians say it's extremely important, and top 2 box is 50%. 1 in 2, either extremely or very important. And then there's a number of other questions in here, but as you look at the clients in this space, if they are consuming less, they're also looking at kind of from a general health perspective, and from every possible angle, it's about consume more protein. And so it's getting infused into everything, like our coffees and maybe soon bananas and strawberries. But that's certainly a way where clients can look to either call that messaging out or look for lines that can enhance and complement that.
Wow. Interesting. What about impulse buying? I mean, certainly I've noticed talking to some folks using a GLP-1 drug, they don't have as much impulse. Like they don't impulse buy or impulse consume as much. Is that something that comes up in your conversations with industry leaders and experts?
It hasn't yet. It's certainly a known potential factor amongst this increased adoption, but I'd say other than a couple of questions that are added into more of those longer form studies and trackers, we have seen that, not surprisingly, that those impulse purchases are decreased because you've got less of an appetite and you're eating less. And typically, when you are focusing on an area of your health or measuring or tracking something, or you're using these tools, there are other aspects of your life that you're looking to optimize, whether it be increased protein consumption or just making overall healthier choices. That's not across the board, of course. But, those typical impulse buys, which make that sort of golden last mile in a grocery store, is certainly being impacted by households that are consuming these drugs.
Well, on the upside, if you're in the category of fashion, it's a big boon for the fashion industry because people are kind of redoing their entire wardrobe. And so, there's all kinds of, as you just said, there's all kinds of impacts to these GLP-1s. Well, let's leave it there because I think this is one of those things that is just going to keep giving us a very important source of data. I can't think of many more things. Sylvain, I can't think of many more things we talk about that has this kind of broad-based impact on the people and the industries that we cover, right? I mean, we can talk about regulation, we can talk about a lot of things, but the fundamental...
I'd say it's a top news story for 2025 for sure. Yeah.
I mean, when you get to a quarter of the population changing dramatically the way they consume food, I mean, this is like COVID era kind of stuff, right? I mean, in terms of change of habits. So anyway, fascinating, and we can't think of anybody to help us, sketch that canvas. Then Ransom, thanks so much again for joining us. Hey, if people want to get a hold of you, of course they can listen to the great advertisement that is always on our show. Thank you again for helping us out. But how do they get in touch with you and want to do anything directly?
Yeah, if they'd like access to these reports, again, happy to share them for free, as well as the protein one I mentioned. Happy to share that one too. It's insights@caddle.ca, INSIGHTS at caddle, CADDLE.ca. We'll get these reports over to you right away.
All right, fantastic. And thanks again for joining us, and have a great rest of your day.
Awesome. You too, guys. Thanks for having me.
Take care, Ransom. Bye-bye.
All right, we are back. So I want to talk about a couple things, one of which is the passing of Rodney Clark from Rodney's Oysters. He was just an incredible...
I didn't know he passed away.
Yeah, he passed away on the East Coast. I think he was in his 70s. I wanted to call him out because I went to a couple of events with him. He came to Toronto, and Rodney's Oyster was both a great restaurant. I moved a couple of times, and then he was famous showing up at events and shucking, and really a pioneer in I'd call it entertainment, food entertainment, right? He made it really entertaining to have him at the event. So I wanted to give him a shout out, and the current owner is doing a great job. His legacy is good.
Condolences to his family.
Absolutely. What else we talk about? I noticed this thing about honeybees. That I don't know if you saw this. Did you see this?
Yeah.
That there's the beekeepers, Canadian beekeepers, are asking the government to ban overseas bee imports to protect local hives. I love honey and honeybees. We've had honey suppliers on.
Oh, yeah.
And I guess there's, like all these things, there's a mite or something that can get infested, right? So biosecurity issues come to pass. What do you know about this honeybee thing? Is it is it another avian flu? Are we worried? And
well, I mean, I'm not a bee expert. For sure, but what I've learned when I was in Guelph, beekeeping was a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, because there's a very important research center there, and what I've learned over the years is that when beekeepers tell you something, you should listen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I think it's wise, a wise advice coming from the group. Especially right now, because we're dealing with the avian flu, and of course you can't really close borders on the avian flu because of migrating birds and everything that's going on. Yeah. But if there is something you can control around biosecurity, especially with bees, and bees play a really important role here. Yeah.
They're rented out to.
I'd say I would put some credence on what they're actually advocating for here. Okay. And so absolutely, I would certainly look into perhaps restricting imports of bees into Canada for the time being, knowing what the risks are. Because, bees play a really critical role in the food chain, for sure.
Do you remember the whole African honeybee, killer bee thing back from the 80s? You know that was all just a scam by the National Enquirer.
I know.
Never really existed. The killer bees. I remember that book that, we were all suddenly afraid of getting killed by.
Well, when I was playing volleyball, we had Team A and Team B. So we were 12 guys playing for RMC. And every time, so to practice, I was on Team A. Yeah. I was a starting setter for Team A. And the Team B, we call them killer bees. Because they were benching, right? Yeah. But they were playing against us. And sometimes, we were tired and they beat us during practice.
The killer bees.
Killer bees.
African killer bees. Yeah. Great episode. Now you're leaving here. We're here in my living room. If you're watching us on YouTube, these shorts.
I'm taking my turkey to go.
Taking your turkey to go. Where are you going? What are you doing here?
I'm going to London.
London, Ontario.
The other London.
Right.
Yeah, and so I'm going to London, and tomorrow I'm keynoting the event. They call it Crop Grow. Mm-hmm. So they put together crop scientists and farmers together. And I love those groups because you got the science, you got the practice, and that's where I fit right in there. Like I really enjoy that. So it's going to be the start of the second day at 8:00. It's really funny because I just came back from an AI IT conference, and the first conference was at 9:30.
Yeah, they all sleep. Well, I on the one hand, I was thinking they sleep in, but they probably all trying to fix everything that's broken overnight.
But I mean, I was there like
Reboot
at 7:30 in the morning. I did my jog in the morning.
There's nobody there.
And half my day's done, and then I arrived. Nobody's there.
Nobody's there. Went the wrong place.
But like tomorrow, it's going to be
up at dawn.
Exactly.
Your kind of people.
Yeah, exactly. I enjoy. I'm a morning guy, so as you are.
Yeah. Different ends of the clock, though, sometimes.
Yeah, this is why this marriage works. Like, you're a night guy, I'm a morning guy. It's great.
I'm wrapping it up, and you're starting the day, but we overlap well. Well, listen, it's wonderful to see you.
Yeah.
Great way for us to almost finish the year, but we got a great season. Many more episodes happening in 2026.
Yep.
We'll take a little break. We're going to run a bonus episode, actually, because our episode from the coffee conference, unfortunately, the sound wasn't great. And I'm not sure everybody heard that. Doug stuck through it and listened to the Doug Porter interview. So I'm going to run that as a bonus episode so listeners can look forward to that. And then we got a couple of more episodes before this calendar year's over. We'll be back next year, 2026, so you can look forward to that. But for now, I'm Michael LeBlanc, media entrepreneur, and you are?
And I'm the food professor, Sylvain Charlebois.
Safe travels, everyone.
Take care.